If you're a high-performing leader, this will probably sound familiar. Capable of getting the job done, you're reliable, and you're the person that everybody trusts to get things done, or things that are complicated you can manage because you're the problem solver and you're responsible. You're the one that gets shit done. And yet you are tired in a way that doesn't line up with your performance levels. And I got to tell you that you're not tired because you're failing. You're tired because you're successful. Everything feels heavier than it really should be, though. And that can be confusing because from the outside, everything looks fine, right? People see your competence level, they see your success, they see your stability. But what they don't see is how much you're holding inside. And what is rarely said is that high-performing leaders are often the ones that burn out first. Not because you're weak or incapable or that you can't handle the pressure. It's because of how your nervous system is being leveraged, used, or in some cases, abused. So burnout is a simple concept, really. It's when your physiology meets unrealistic demands. So I want to walk you through 3 patterns that I see again and again in leaders who are very good at what they do, but are quietly exhausted by it. And as we go, just notice what lands for you, what feels resonant for you. The first pattern I often see is sustained load without true recovery time. Leadership is not just about being busy. It is cognitively dense and emotionally complex. You are making decisions that affect people's jobs, that affect budgets, that affect performance, and potentially reputations of people and organizations. So you're context switching constantly. And you're carrying these unfinished conversations when you leave the office. And you're often the person that people come to when things aren't going so well. So they offload on you because you're the leader. And so you should be able to hack it. And because you're very competent and capable, you adapt, you stretch, you stay composed, and you take on everything without making a fuss. So you then tell yourself, well, this is probably temporary. We just need to push past this deadline or push past this issue. Or maybe you tell yourself, this is what leadership looks like. This is my cross to bear, so to speak. And often you can handle it. And not only that, you've been carrying it for a long, long time. If you're anything like I was, you've been carrying it maybe for years or decades. And quite simply, this is why high performers burn out, because burnout is often delayed rather than sudden with you, right? You tolerate until your system starts paying the price. Oftentimes before our feet even hit the ground, we're thinking about our day, the work, the decisions that we carry into the shower in the morning or into the car or into the evening. You have a full day of meetings and then the real thinking happens in the evening rather than rest. And there's always something unresolved sitting in the background. And again, because you're capable, no one questions it, including yourself. The research is very clear on this. Chronic workplace stress, especially when demands stay high and recovery stays low, is a primary driver for stress and burnout-related diseases. Repeat activation of your stress response create wear and tear in your body. And over time, that accumulation matters. From the outside, it can look like resilience, like you are the picture of resilience. But inside, you're going to feel depleted. You might even feel like I did, trapped. I want you to hear this because it's really important. Your competence does not make you immune to your biology. I'm going to repeat this. Your competence does not make you immune to your biology. Your capacity is not infinite just because your capability is high. Burnout and stress fatigue often happens when ongoing demands quietly outpace those resources that are available to meet them. The second pattern usually catches leaders a little off guard. Chronic stress affects the very brain functions that you rely on. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that supports planning and judgment and emotional regulation, your working memory, your flexible thinking, all of it. Under sustained stress, those functions become harder to access. So in simple terms, your system is under threat. And creativity and strategic thinking and all of that become a lot harder. Not because you are losing your edge or because you somehow are becoming less capable. That's not it at all. It's because your nervous system is prioritizing protection and safety over performance. Most high-performing leaders and executives respond by trying harder. Tell me if this resonates. You're struggling, so what do? I'm going to try harder. I'm going to focus more. I'm going to work longer. I'm going to tighten controls. I'm just going to push through, plan more. Come up with more plans, more strategies. The reality is the more effort that you layer onto an already stressed system creates more depletion. This is the leader who starts saying things like, I cannot think as clearly as I used to, or, oh God, my patience is so short, man, I'm snapping at everybody. Or simple decisions become really heavy and you're just unable or you're frozen in decision making. You might find yourself rereading the same email over and over and over again because you just keep getting distracted. Because you're used to being sharp, you tend to take this personally. You start assuming, your ego starts assuming that there's something wrong with you. When in fact, what I want you to consider instead is that your brain is not failing. It's actually doing exactly what it's built to do, which is protect you. And so when your threat is high and the brain shifts into more reactive state, I want you to know that isn't a weakness. That's just simple biology. When the threat remains high, your brain will shift into more reactive mode. Again, that is biology. So the right question is not what's wrong with me. The right question you need to ask yourself is my nervous system responding to what it thinks is a threat? And what would help make it feel steadier again? Kind of like you're treating your nervous system almost like a third party in a way. Now for the third pattern that I often see, and this one is quieter, but it carries a lot of weight. And that is leaders often absorb other people's stress. I'm seeing it now in organizations where they're carrying the pressure and the tension of what's being kind of put down on them from senior leadership onto their peers and their employees and their direct reports. And if you're in the middle of that sandwich, you become the buffer or the stabilizer. If you're calm and you're measured, people will come to you because they need a place to offload their own stress. And so if you're a leader, you're going to be taking in a lot of this. And that emotional load is very real and often not acknowledged. Research on burnout shows that emotional and interpersonal stressors at work are as impactful as the workload itself. So when demands are really high and support or fairness feel low, exhaustion increases. And so when your effort is high and recognition feels uncertain, stress increases with it. In real life, this will sound like, I can handle pressure, but I can't handle chaos. Or you'll say something like, I feel like I'm always bracing for impact, like the shoe's going to drop again. Or I feel responsible for everyone. Or there's nowhere for my stress to go. And because you're strong, again, you normalize it until you can't anymore. This is also why conversations about unsafe or toxic leadership environments tend to resonate really highly. Not because people want a place to complain necessarily, but because chronic unpredictability and a lack of psychological safety are biologically stressful. So the nervous system reads those situations or those environments as unsafe. So if you are the one holding everything, you need something that holds you. What is that? Because support is not indulgence. It's actually quite protective. And that's not coaching language. That is occupational health reality. And the path forward is not guessing and it's not pushing harder. It is getting clear, doing an honest read on where your stress is actually showing up for you. And that's exactly why I created the Leadership Energy and Stress Resilience Scorecard. It looks at your physical energy, your mental clarity, your emotional load, and it looks at sustainability. So you can see what is driving your depletion and where to start thinking about where things need to change. You'll find the link in the description down below. If you're struggling and you need relief now, then check out the link to book a strategy session with me. If you want to dive a little deeper on what some of the burnout symptoms might be, maybe you're wondering if you are struggling with stress-related injury in your system, in your body, your mental, your physical, what have you, check out this video on early burnout signs or the hidden burnout signs to learn a little bit more.